Hello everyone, and welcome to today's live stream where we're actually back in Blender for a change. I've been doing quite a bit of Touch Designer, which is amazing. It's a level of procedural effects and real-time effects that I just haven't really played with before, but we're back in Blender and working on the sewing machine again. And today the main thing will be just making it so that it embroiders like a design, like my logo, which is right around here. And also making it so that it makes the fabric actually depress. Which, that part should be pretty simple, so let's go and try that out first. So for this, let's go and put the sewing machine in its own collection. So this will be machine. And then for the plane, this will be our fabric. And we can do multiple layers, but for now, I'll just do one to make sure that this actually works. And we'll also need to subdivide this a fair amount so that the depressions actually apply to the mesh. So let's see if we can do this the simple way before we start going the difficult way. Let's make sure all that is up and running. All the audio seems to be good. So there we go. So I guess I could do a brief breakdown of this project. Basically, let's see, that is, wait, what does this part do? Oh, that's just to get the curve normal and, oh wait, that's an optional thing, which we do not need. Basically, the machine goes and takes a curve in a certain pattern, which in this case is the crisscross, and at each point it depresses, making a, you know, a sewing parts. And then here, I'm remembering what I did. Since the sample curve node cannot sample by the curve index directly, we need to do a little workaround, but the main thing is we just get the position, normal, tangents, sample all those, combine them into a nice little matrix, and then that will be the position at the end of the needle, right there, the part that goes up and down. And then for the actual machine part, we just move the parts based off of that. Right here and here. Actually, wait. Yeah, that goes there and there. But with one of these, with the up and down motion, we limit it so that it cannot go below the surface, as we can see here. So all that's good. And then this is the setup for the thread. Again, yeah, I'm remembering this because it's been almost a week since I've done this. Because I've been too distracted by other procedural programs. So, right, making the fabric depress. So let's go and bring the fabric into our setup here. And let's go and hide the original fabric because that is not necessary anymore. So let's go over here and let's move this to be fabric. So we're going to have a duplicate that can actually be moved. So here, I'm going to use a set position to make it so that we can depress stuff. And here we can, I think, separate transform should work just fine. And then we subtract, or we could just get a distance. Yeah, let's go and do that. Let's get the distance from there. And then we need a normal to depress the fabric with. And let's go and join that into the fold here. And we can see, wait, what? We can see that the UV map apparently gets removed. Why? Maybe I just need to specify the UV map, which is not the worst. And here we're going to rotate a vector. In this case, we want the vector to be the up direction. And then we're going to scale this and that by a bit and then plug that into the offset. So we can see that, well, yes, it is moving along with the setup. We just need to hone it in. So let's use a map range. So, maybe I'll have to scale this as well according to, yeah, we might need to specify a few things, but anyway, we'll do that and that, just that has to go down by a bit, 0.1. Let's see if that actually works. So we don't want it to go up, we only want it to go down. When it's down, it's like that. Oh, okay, that kind of makes sense. Okay, so it is working, actually quite well. So let's set it to be 0.25, set the shading on the original fabric to be smooth. Again, we have to make a duplicate of the object because we can't really affect multiple objects at once. So let's see, when it's slowed down, does it actually affect the mesh in a way that matters? I mean, it's almost doing it, but for some reason it's... Why is it not? Actually, what is that matrix doing again? Go and chop those out. Okay. So that just places it on the right part there. Let's see. Man, I forgot what the setup was doing. Oh no. We have a point there, and what does this point do? There's 0 radius, so let's make it a bit bigger. Okay. Actually, wait, no, that is how the empty gets sampled. We have that point there, and then that goes there. Okay. So that goes there, that goes there, that goes there, that goes there. Okay, I understand just a little bit now. So we need to offset the matrix by this value. Or maybe that value. Maybe the invert of that? So we just need to separate and combine the, or no, we need to transform this vector by the matrix and then output it. This is such fun. So yeah, let's use a transform point and we'll transform it by the matrix, then output that, and it should be a singular value if I am correct, yes. So if we were to put this one into there, it should be okay. We need to get the distance to that point. And it does not work. Okay. What is your problem? Let's go and take a nice little look at all this to see what's going on. No, okay, it is working. Okay. Maybe I just needed to keep track of the z-axis? Or no, I'm doing this... No, I am doing this right. Maybe I just need to... Dang, I've been out of this for quite a bit. It's doing that. We can see every single time it depresses, and then that happens, yes. So the distance is working, and then if we do this... It's difficult to see when it's actually depressing. Even in rendered mode, which let's go over to the fabric shader to see why... Yeah, why is that having... Okay, we needed to specify the UV map. I thought we were past those days, but apparently we're not. Actually, on second thought, what we should do instead is have the limited one be passed in. Yes, there we go, okay. So that doesn't pass through the fabric all on its own. So now it's actually depressing the fabric. We just need to dial that in by a good amount. I know this is messy, but... what can you do? Actually, what can we do? We can put this inside of the node group here, because it is, yeah, it is related. Okay, so let's go and grab that and remove it from the frame, because we can do that. There we go. Let's put it inside, make it all nice and clean and lovely. And then we can plug that into there. We do need the transform matrix for the normal, because we're sampling that from the curve and all that good stuff. So it'll be a bit cyclic. But yes. There we go. And we do not need to pass the vector out, because it's just fine. So we can keep you right in there, and you'll be all good. So there we go. Touch designer, right click is the box select, so I need to get used to not doing that. But that's been fun. That's been very fun. Okay, so now we can just go and delete all this and pass you into there. So now it's actually depressing that, and we want it to be subtle, like not super duper effective, just enough to where you can see that it is having an effect. There we go. And maybe we should do that to the original curve as well, because the threads, we might actually have to pass it out. That would be quite annoying. I was hoping to avoid that. Dang. Or We could put the sew thread inside of the sewing machine part so that we have all the components in there and eliminate basically all of the groups. That might be an okay idea, actually. Or no, we don't want to nest at all. We just want the depression to actually work. Or we can just pass the modified field out from there and then apply it to both that and that in post. So let's go and take a look and see if this will work. So set position, oh, that, okay, we deal with that. Let's see, so we have that and we have this, so let's go and plug that into there, plug you into there. Let's hope that this actually works. Do that, we pass the vector there and into there. Plug that into there, disconnect you. Okay, wait, that actually works. Oh, lovely. So now it'll actually make the thing depress. So I guess we could still have you in here just so that we don't need to deal with that there. And then we can just pass the vector into that node group and call it a day. We could do it at whatever point we want. We could do it, we should probably do it before the curve to mesh. Although, it might be a bit more stable if we don't do that. So let's just bring this over to here, plug you into there, do that. Yeah, this setup is getting quite messy. It's probably fine. I could do a cleanliness pass later. Want it to be nice and procedural. Again, it's doing that, and we can get a little bit of depression happening. So, with that, let's go over to our fabric material. Actually, here's the parts, there's the needle. Oh, right, we need to put the fabric inside of that collection. Parts, and then this will be nodes for the main effect. And let's go and set that to be green. The parts will set to orange. And the triangle we can put into the parts. And the empty we can put into the set collection, because that should be fine. The Bezier curve is a part, but we'll put in the geonodes thing because it drives, like, basically the entire effect. Okay. Let's see. Okay, and the original fabric is visible again, which is causing some issues. So we will hide that, but the main thing is I want to go and make this a little bit more detailed, a little bit more fun. So let's go and get the geometry. So how do we make this actually look nice and rough? Well, the simple way to do that is to just manipulate the normal. We'll be doing that before the bump map, as we will see here. Go and scale this up. That's actually having a very minimal effect. Oh no, there we go. Just need to get that bit of warbling so that the texture actually looks, 3D. Although, since the roughness is so high, it appears that that's going to be a little bit of a problem. More we okay. Unfortunate, but we can deal with that. Oh wait, that's because of the subsurface scattering. Well, that subsurface scattering is necessary. It is hurting our normal manipulation. We can see there with and without. The more we scale it, the more detailed it becomes. If we set to something like 500. Looks quite granular, which is what we are going for. Maybe we'll set that to be 3000. Maybe a bit less. 1000 seems to be okay. For the subsurf, oh, and I completely disabled the specular. Oh yeah, I know why I did that, yep. So maybe a bit of subsurface like, I turned out the specular because fabrics, well, it looked better, but also maybe just a tiny amount here. Also, I do need to scale this entire project down by a lot because currently, if we compare this to a normal human, the calibration assets, let's bring a human into here. We can see that's just as tall as a human, which I guess for a close-up is okay. Yeah. Alright, let's read the chat. Hello everyone in the chat. Nice watching you. Oh, I'm glad. I am glad. I'll keep this guy right over here, just as a scale reference. Okay. So we have this, and now I think it's time that we actually make a good design with all this. So we have that. Let's go and have a circle, and then scale it down by a bit. Oh, wait a minute. Why is our dear camera not centered at 0, 0? It should have been like that originally. No matter, we'll just go and move the lights over by a bit. There we go. So we can see that this setup has a problem with cyclic curves. But luckily, we can fix that. So make sure everything is working as intended. Yep, it is depressing the fabric. Very nice. And we could use geometry nodes to add in a couple of pieces of fluff here and there, just to add in, you know, that extra point of realism. But for now, let's keep all that going as intended. We just need to trim the curve. So trim curve, we just plug that into there and make it not cyclic. Now you could say, oh, why don't you just set it so that the curve is just straight up isn't cyclic? Set line cyclic. I believe, unless this has been changed, it gets rid of the last part at the end here. Which, actually, let's just take a look here. Yes, it does. Well, here we can see it's complete. Okay. Good to see, good to know. I was correct in my intuition. So here we can see I'll just do that and all that's good. So, while it does pain me to have to, manipulate the curve in there. Actually, wait. This could make an interesting eye pattern. But I think it's fine for now. I should get an SVG of the Blender logo, because that could be good. Okay, let's read the chat. Can you make a whole procedural city textured and detailed with geometry nodes? Yes, but it would be quite a bit of work. I would love to watch the traffic system part 2, just a community request. Maybe, well, there's a low chance that I'll do that again because I believe other people have probably done it better, and the traffic system is very old and no longer not applicable whatsoever anymore. So for certain cases it is. What were you? Oh, this was for the right. This was so that it could work on only one spline at a time, because that's how it's supposed to work. Just one spline at a time, and it's all good. Actually, let me get the Blender logo. Blender logo. SVG. SVG. Logo, blender.org, or... Nope, that is a PNG, not an SVG. What I would like is the raw SVG. Download logo kit. Oh, very nice. Let's go and get that. Check what's inside of it. Okay, that's PNG, and... okay, there's SVG. Okay, so we can just drag and drop that. We can just drag and drop that into Blender, right? Blender has drag and drop functionality, or maybe it's because it's not extracted. There we go. Okay, resolution 10. Yeah, that seems to be fine. Oh, that's a little bit much. Oh, and it doesn't import properly. Maybe because of the layers, or am I supposed to import it as grease pencil? But it is. Fun. Come on, buddy, you can do it. L, select, bring it out. Oh. Odd. All got collapsed to one layer. No, it shouldn't be doing that. This is... I thought Blender could handle SVGs now. Evidently... Unless I did something wrong. Here, let's try this again and see if I missed any settings. Scale, import SVGs. Yeah. Hold on, everyone, while I go and check some things. Imports. Import of SVG. Okay. It imported all of the curves. And it's still... Oh, it's not... Oh, wait. Seems like that actually worked. Just the layers are still an issue. So we could just delete all of the text here, because we don't need that. We just need the main logo. This is just a badly made logo file? I highly doubt it. If it works on the web, it should work in Blender. Blender should be compatible with a lot of things. SVGs should be low on the list. Which maybe I just imported it wrong, or Grease Pencil has some issues with the layers and all that. But I did import it correctly, it just needed everything to be separate with the default import option. So, what I can do is, do we go through the step where I just scale everything down to a fraction of what it was originally? Or do I just scale everything up? I do not know. So geometry, I don't want any geometry. Wait, fill mode, none. So do I just do that? Do I just set both of these to none? So that I can just have that as an embroidery pattern. And then store an attribute on these curves, which is the Blender logo color. So that it can just stitch that and all that will be good. To be honest, I think that's the way to go. And then we'll just have 3 sewing machines for each part, or 1 sewing machine for each part. So that we can do the outer part, and then the inner part, and then all of that. That might be something to do. And also, I need to fix the way the thread turns, twists, and the normal just straight up breaks. So, yeah. Is that curve normal? The minimum twist does work, but I'm worried... Maybe we should put that after. So dissolve that. It should be fine either way. And actually, come to mention it, I could make it so that... no, that wouldn't work, would it? I could attempt to make like a scan line effect where it has to like do-do-do, 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 but it would be so fast that wouldn't even be applicable for anything. But first things first, we need to scale down this entire project. So let's go and scale down the entire project. Let's take all of these nice parts and then scale them down to be 0.1. Let's make sure it's the curve in there. Where is the other curve? Nope, that's the reference. Those are the parts. Bezier curves. So the triangle we can leave. Let's set this to be 0.1. So it'll still be a very large needle. It won't be horrendously large. So let's go and apply the scale to all that. So that's all good. We'll go and hide that. Let's go over to the geometry node geometry node part, and we can see that this is having a whale of a time with the new parameters. So let's go and adjust those parameters. So set curve radius, let's set that to be 0.1. I actually do not know why that's not like first. That seems to be a very odd setting for that. trim curve. Yeah, no, all those steps seem to be fine. That part's fine. We just need to go and do that. And in here, we just need to go and change just a few of the parameters. That's for the mix, that's fine. The radius, we just got to make that a bit lower. For this part, we just need to multiply this by 0.05 instead, and we should see, in theory, that's okay. And we need to make the radius right. So yeah, a few little things need adjusting. That'll be okay. Let's go over to here, do all of that. Yep, good amount of that seems to be fine. Circle's too big. Let's go and scale that down again. So just to make sure. Okay, the thread is too thin. Unexpected. And then, right, we need to make this part, which let's move that down. You make this a bit smaller, and you a bit smaller. So there we go. So it's now scaled down, which is good. It's now at least somewhat reasonable. Let's go to the set and scale down you, and you, all the lights. Let's go and set this to be 3D cursor, set to be 0.1, and we can go and apply the scale. Well, apply the scale. Yeah. We can scale them down, but we can't apply the scale, which, to be honest, makes sense. I could hold Alt to affect multiple objects at the same time, but at the moment, I don't think that's necessary. Let's go over to I, and let's go and make sure that all the lights have 1/10 of the power and 1/10 of the radius, which let me hold Alt while I do that. 100, and the radius to be 0.101. Okay. Is it working? Still a bit much, so let's go and bring you down. Just, well, It's because of, like, the square cube law and all that fun stuff? Most likely. And let's also scale the camera by 0.1 as well. So why is the fabric so off base? You should be 0, 0. Actually, yeah, why? Oh, because the main setup's off like that. Okay. Well, that's fine. But now we can see that the camera is, having a whale of a time with that. Let's change the f-stop to be a lot wider. And let's fix the thread, because for some reason... Okay. So now all we need to do is go into the shader and fix a few things, like setting the distance to be even lower than before. Okay, let's hide the original fabric. I mean, yeah, it seems to be working okay. Maybe we can reduce the shading on that a little bit more. Maybe make it rough, maybe actual gold instead of whatever the heck this is, but I think we're still okay for now. Wow, still, we're gonna get to float point precision errors in no time. Small things. Okay. So, I guess that works out all right. But we'll need to make a curve out of the Blender logo. Because I could still do that crisscross pattern, just both curves need to be the same. Actually, yeah, let's set that up. So we have the Blender logo SVG, which now should be relatively well scaled. Rotated a little bit out of place. Let's go and rotate you and put it in a nice place right here. And we're going to change this a bit. Where with this one, we're going to make a geometry node thingamabopper. And we are going to resample the curves, both to be the same amount. So both of these will have the same. And then we're going to separate the geometry. In this case, we're going to separate the top curve, or the inside curve and the outside curve, by the index. If the index is above 1, it'll set to true, as we can see here. Excuse-moi. Ah, there we go. Very nice. So that part's working as intended. So now we just need to make one snap to the other depending on their index. So which one do we do? Oh, this is going to be a disaster. Yeah, that's gonna be just a little bit of a disaster if I'm being honest. Dang it. How much of a disaster is the question? Because of this part and this part and this part in particular, because how do you make it so that they're all just mapped properly? I don't think I can do that reliably. Unless I were to set up a raycast, make the raycast collide with both this and this, make it so that it goes according to the normal, but no, that would make it so that everything just crunches all together and is absolutely awful and terrible. So you know what? We're just gonna say screw it and just do what we've been doing. You know, the best solution is usually the easiest one. So we're just gonna go and do this. Set it to be relative. And then set our little alternating offset here to be much, much, much less. And then we can see that this will do that. So now we can actually do that with the Blender logo. But we see another little problem here. With the way I have the curve sampling set up, it's doing both curves simultaneously, which is less than ideal once again. So I could just... Actually, I could just put in the regular index. And in theory, that'll work. Yeah. So that'll operate on all curves, and let's make sure that our sample curve thing runs on all curves, yes. So, if we do this correct and just accelerate time by a lot, we can see that, yes, it's running on everything. We'll do both parts, and then the inside part we can save for last. Although, I should make it so that the curves will retain their color, and then sample that in the shader, which we can do. It'll just be a little bit more of a pain, but we're used to that. If there's anything that procedural programs do is give you quite a bit of pain that you need to work through. Anyway, let's go and realize all these instances, set them to be relative, plug them into there, look at what it's complaining about and consider it, then ignore it. But no, we cannot ignore this, we just need that, and we can delete the background. So we need you and you. The main circle we can forget about. We just need to go and store the proper data using geometry nodes. So this will be store color. And here, we are going to go and store named attribute right here. We'll make this a color. Yeah, that's pretty normal. And then in this, we can set it on spline or point, but it'll just be easier to do point. This will be color. And what we're going to do is just have that right there, and Control-C and Control-V to apply that. So here, let's go and have this be here. Wait, what did I label that? Store color. Unassigned. Yes, that's where it's all put. So here, we'll put that there and that to there. So now, when the curves are being put into place, which actually, let's go over to here and set this to be length based. Set this to 0.01, 0.001, 0.002. Yeah, that seems to be a good density. We can now make it so that they actually inherit the color. If we just go into here, get an attribute. So this will be color because we stored that, and we just plug it into there, and we call a day. But the thread is still very metallic, which I'm not fully against, but let's try something a little bit different. How do we make the fabric actually look good while still retaining that? Because it's a bit too bright, which maybe that's just a problem with that, well, the lighting in general, because that's what it actually looks like if I don't disable the specular. So yeah, that's most likely the issue. So let's go over to here and turn down the lights. A lot. Hold down Alt so that I can affect all of them simultaneously. Make them very... Wow, that is extremely low. Huh, why... Let's go and set this to be... just like that. That seems to be fine. We'll put this over to here. Now it looks much more close. Well, we can edit all that. We're getting there. But it looks like the bump on the fabric is a bit too much even still. So let's make it so that it's like a micrometer. Or... we're doing... okay. Doing that, and then we're doing... Okay, so 0.1. Well, we can keep that. Just turn up the subsurface scattering. Oh, that's actually not doing anything right now. Do that. Okay, so we just need to make that a little bit rougher. But the specular is still way too much. Let's turn off the depth of field, because we can always add that to hide some mistakes. But right now, I want to see my mistakes so that I can hopefully fix them. I don't know, does the fabric actually need to be metallic? Because some fabrics have that kind of metallic sheen to them. A little bit. That's doing that, and the fabric here. Oh, looks like we need to go and lower the fabric by a bit so that actually penetrates the... or the thread so that penetrates the fabric. Maybe a little bit of bump, but it doesn't look right. Oh, wait, I know what I need to do. I need to make this actually affect the specular. Because of course, that makes complete and total sense. Because, yeah, the divots, actually, let's go and use a color ramp on this. Because the divots in the fabric are, you know, where the shadows are. And let's set the max to be 0.5. You know, we're not going to go too crazy here. We want that to be, let's set that to be ease. So we want the highlights to shine, but the dark parts to still be dark. Yeah, it seems to be pretty good. Now, I do possibly want to change the fabric color, which we can see that that's working beautifully. Let's go and have a color ramp instead. Let's do that, set to be, ooh. Interesting, not great, but interesting nonetheless. It's not even metallic, but it just looks metallic because of the... Actually, that... It almost looks like fabric. Well, let's see if I can actually make it look right. Have that. Actually... It was doing basically nothing. Okay, let's see if we can dial that in a bit more. Okay, let's make you a bit bigger, then zoom in on you. Now, if I were a smart person, which, you know, I am part-time, I would... that's not looking amazing. Best. Alright, well, I guess we don't need to worry about that. Don't need to worry about that. Like, at some angles it looks okay, and at other angles it does not. Maybe we need to lower the roughness by a bit. It almost looks okay. Almost. But not quite. And then that, yeah, no, the roughness needs to be high. Super saturated stuff looks decent enough. Again, not quite to the level that I'm hoping for, even though that does look like denim. Yeah. Maybe it's just too dark and I need some actual lights around here. No, I want the kind of studio lights going on. Speaking of that, these lights probably are an issue. We need one light to be good, and all the other lights will follow suit. But for the time being, let's go and connect this into here again. Let's have another color ramp for that. So let's select all of you, bring you back, hide you, or collapse. You, bring you over to here, bring you over here, plug you into there, bring you over here, bring you over to there, and almost. It's almost good, but not quite. Constant struggle of being an artist. Almost there, but not quite. We're just gonna live with that for the moment. So, the fabric, and again, in real life, the fabric actually goes down, connects with a thread that's on the bottom, and does a little twist tie every single time it goes through there. But this is an approximation, because it would take much longer for me to do it for real. Would it be possible? Yes. But I really don't want to do that because it would just be way too much and not fun. I'm actually kind of surprised I had to move it down that much. Why did I have to move it down that much? I mean, I still need to shrink wrap the fabric to, or the thread to the fabric, so that it can go over curved surfaces. Yeah, I'm just confused. Why would you? Just because it's less overall? 'Cause that seems to be a bit much, don't you think? Okay. Well, we'll deal with that as is, and we'll turn the radius here down a bit more. 0.5. And we can go and turn up the amount of threads there are to make it look a bit better. Maybe turn up the thickness by a bit. And also subtract this by 0.5. No, something feels wrong about that. The cross product. Oh, yes. Something did feel wrong about that. My intuition was correct. Okay, so we could use, well, the greater than, we can just put that into a switch node, set it to be a float, set this to be 1 or -1 for simplicity's sake, then scale the vector by that, turn this off. So now it will affect the thread in the positive and negative directions instead of just the positive, making it that will work exactly as I intend. Actually, we're going to set this to -0.5 and 0.5, just so that the overall range is the same. And actually, I could just subtract 0.5 and call it a day. The switch gives a more accurate impression of what's going on. You know, it's fine. That's what we're learning here. It's fine. So now, it's super slow. Wow. Wow. Uh-oh. What is, what's your problem? Oh, it is the, okay. So here we need to make it so that the fabric, which I will need to put in group input so that we can specify the fabric easily. I need to shrink wrap the curve to the geometry here. So the question is, yeah, let's do it after the resampling. Which, yeah, this all is, good fun. Let's do that after the fact. We're adding in so many extremely necessary steps. Most of them are necessary, but it's just like, wow, this is becoming, very nice. Though we won't need you anymore because we'll put you in later, and we won't need you anymore because we'll put you in later. Let's spline resolution. We don't need to do that because we're setting the length. So we can eliminate most of you, bring you over to here. That seems to be fine. Seems to be fine. I could put the radius a bit later. That is probably fine. So we need to set the position and set the normal, set curve normal. And we want this to be free because we want it to sample the geometry. So let's get a geometry proximity node, or, you know, let's just use a sample nearest surface node. And we're sample nearest surface node. And we'll set this to be vector. And we will sample both the position and the normal. We're just using the same type of node here for simplicity's sake. And for, we need to flip these around. So, whoops, clicked on the wrong thing. That position right there. So we're going to set the normal first so that it will not change the mesh when we set the position, because that will change it and probably cause a recalculation or something like that. So let's go and get the normal. Let's plug that into the value here, plug you into there, and we should see that that's working as intended. Although, something's looking a little bit off. And that's because we set the curve normal and the position before that. So what we need to do is do this before, do the step here, and then do the other part after, making this so much better and larger. So many things you need to take into account. Imagine trying to do this with modifiers. Imagine. Let's set the position in that. So here, we can see, even if we go and, oh wait, no, that's the wrong plane. We go and get our fabric here and apply something absolutely crazy, like, say, a wave texture. Or not, you know what I mean. So the width, the narrowness, and all of that. Let's go and set the height to be less. You know what? Let's just go and use a displace. To the displace, make this clouds. Turn this down by quite a bit. Maybe turn up the detail level by 1 or 2. Okay, now let's look at the geometry node section, and let's move that up actually. Logo SVG, no, don't put that in there because that's a reference to collection. Put it in parts just because we're not using it actively. Okay, that is working good. So, oh, that's because I put that there. There we go. And we can see that's working as intended. And since I now fixed a part of this, I need to go and set this to be 0.5 once more so that we can see it's actually embroidering on the surface, no matter if it is moved a little bit or not. Normal seems to be working as intended. So that all seems to be good. The only downside... Actually, wait a minute. Little correction that I need to do, but that won't be too difficult. We actually do not want this to use the tangents. We want this to be just in global space because, as far as I know, that doesn't usually rotate with the fabric. If I come to think of it, this still seems to be a little bit too big. Let's bring our human over to here. Actually, wait, that almost seems true to life scale now. Or close to it, at the very least. Maybe a bit, like, maybe twice the scale it should be. Well... let's scale this up. Yeah, we'll do that. Just... should be fine. Bring our guy over to there a little bit. Let's go and select the geonodes. We'll put you in the parts collection. Just put everything in the parts collection. Makes sense. It is called parts after all. I am highly disliking how big this node setup is becoming. We already have 4 groups. It feels like we need 4 more. we don't need you anymore, and we can eliminate that input. Let's go and save the file. It is nice that this version of 4.5 is quite stable. I am quite liking that. One before this was crashing every 5 minutes, which, you know, was less than ideal. And now the camera is having quite the seizure, because it's just trying to move so incredibly fast, which is less than ideal. I mean, do I just not do that and set the length to be like 1/10? And then slow down the setup so that it, well, actually no, let's set it to be like 10. But actually has to do that. But we can see, yeah, no, that's the problem, isn't it? Too many threads that have to be done, and just putting one in there doesn't seem to be enough. Although, I still need to fix the wire, because that is having a whale of a time. I'll probably just need to change a few little parameters here and there. Let's go and collapse the sample near surface nodes. You're over to here, put a reroute in there. And this one could be a geometry proximity, but just for simplicity, I guess. Will be like that. Need to add in inputs for the stuff. Okay. I saw you messing with Touch Designer. Looks so fun. It has been fun. Now, you do need, for proper like particles and all that with tops, you need to use GLSL, which it's a little bit annoying because it's, you know, the vector, they don't have a dedicated vector math node. They have a function node, but it doesn't have everything that I need. Like the function doesn't have divide or normalize, I don't think, or dot or cross. I would have to double check, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't. But if they had just the vector math in there, it would just be like, oh, you don't need GLSL. Which GLSL, it's not the worst, you just need to have your notes on your second monitor with, you know, all the data that, or all the information to make sure it doesn't, like, crap out. Okay. So it is working, but we can see the problem is that it's just not quite good enough. So if I use the tangent, I could make it so that there are 3. Yeah, I could just go and duplicate the fabric pattern, offset it by the normal, so that we just have 3 going at once. I could duplicate the needle model and then just move it a little to the side and a little bit to the other side, and then boom, we can have 3 of those going at once. Might be a good idea. Though, one thing that I also want to do is with our fabric, let's go and label these inputs here. So which one are you? You're the needle and the holder. So, that's the curve, and that one, yeah, the curve, we'll put the curve on top. So curve, this will be needle, then this one will be, come on buddy, fabric. And this will be depression. Some of us may be familiar with that. Time. And then this one here will be time. There we go. And then the offset. This will also be the depression. There we go. And then we have all that. That's good. So curve radius, resample. Yep, all that seems to be phenomenal. We could eliminate that if we want, but we could also do, no. Yeah, I think we may just need to offset the curve via the normal. Just move it to the side so that we can have 3 of those going at once so that the design is actually visible. And we don't need to make the sewing machine go absolute sicko mode. Yeah. Alright. Let's do it then. Though there is... Curve normal is still set, which actually, let's put that into a frame. Yep. Actually, that we're almost at an hour. Whoa, we're almost at an hour. I thought I would have been further along by now. Anyway, let's subdivide curve. Yeah, no, that makes sense. We'll do all that. We'll duplicate this after the fact. So we'll duplicate elements. Set this to be spline. Then we'll go and set position, and this will be by the presumably by the normal. We'll go and scale this, but we may need the binormal. And then we'll go and do this, multiply you, plug you into there, and we should see if we set this to be a very, very low. Very, very low. A low value, and actually have the duplicates on hand. We should see that these now do that, but as expected, we need to get the binormal. So we need the curve tangent, and then do a quick cross product. Ooh. And we'll set that to be like 0.5. Now it is still too thin in my eyes, so let's go and double the thickness. So we could do that, and now then it is working, but it just needs a bit more work, to be honest. That's all fine. It's doing its job. It could be more. Yeah, let's make that the inside. Let's go to the shader editor. Let's go and increase the distance on that. But you may think, oh, that's way too much. But let's see if subsurface scattering will come to our aid, especially if we turn off metallic. No, it does not. Not in the slightest. We do not want that. So, yeah, I guess we're gonna go with metallic. Maybe set this to be like 0.2. Do we reorient the camera? Maybe. Is the depression doing its job? Yes, it is. And good, the thread is not doing that, so that's fine. Okay, I think it's almost as good as it's gonna get. Although, wait. What's wrong with you? Anything, you should be fine. Which leads me to believe that there is a... Unfortunate, but avoidable. Let's select you, bring this over to here. So it looks like we just need to apply the arcs in post. So let's go and remove from frame, bring you over to here, and we'll just go and put you there. Or, yeah, no, we want to duplicate them after they're subdivided just to save on some computation time. Put you into a frame, put you into that frame. So, in theory... that's why. In theory, should be, oh yes, it is better. Nice. We could add in more, but I think that would be pushing our, what the heck, let's do it. So here, let's set it to be 4, and this to be 0.25. So now we can have that happening. And since the motion blur will be there, no one will notice that it's one needle applying 4 threads. Just as intended. Perfection. Alright, and I believe that's it. Like, I would, yeah, fibers would be good, and also making the lighting good would be good, of course. I think for now... How do we make the lighting actually look okay? And the camera orientation is definitely not aiding our plights. We can see the look at is fun. So this would be yeah, no, that's a problem. That's why I had the machine oriented like that. That you could not see the end of it. But then again, simple extrude, and all that is resolved. So let's go to the holder. Or no, let's go to the needle and solve our little issue. Go to median point, scaled up. We are at 1 hour exactly. I looked over at the seconds. Wow, that is fascinating. Okay, so now we have that. Let's go and hide the needle collection again. And, I mean, it's working. It's showing the Blender logo, having a whale of a time. In hindsight, I just... Oh, and I didn't even think about that, did I? It teleports from one part to another. That's just a cut in the time lapse, you know? Just a cut in the time lapse. Let's take a look at the render. Ah, right, we need to unhide that. Colors just aren't... Not really vibing with the colors right now. Yeah, no, this as a project, I thought would be a little bit better. Which is probably why I didn't finish it for a while. Maybe the premise just wasn't that great. Yeah, maybe the premise just wasn't that great. Like, regular sewing machines look pretty cool. But the problem with this one is that, again, it would just take too long to show the result that I want. Maybe that's what's up. Okay, so let's at least try to make the fibers look a little bit better. It's to be 0.1. Yeah, I'm just not sure about this project. Okay, but it's not great. Also here... What's wrong with you? You should be having a bit better of a time than that. Oh, wait, I know why. Yeah. The normal is not fully... Or the tangent... yeah. The curve was not... Isn't, like... It's subdivided, but not, like, subdivided in the resolution fashion, so it's just straight lines from point to point. Yeah, that kind of sucks. Yeah. And also, it's just a gray fabric, you know? It would need a little bit of look dev before I would be happy with it. It's in a good place for now. But it would, again, just need more. The darker fabric does look quite cool, though. Jet black and then that. Kind of vibe with that. Actually looks quite cool. And saying the normal, well, no, that's fine. We don't need to worry about that. But the fabric thread material, that's what's throwing me. Because, well, funnily enough, I don't hate that. Maybe it just needs an actual value texture, like actually using this to adjust the hue, saturation, and value. Perchance. Subtract. Let's do a 1 subtract to invert the gradient so that we can get the nice little dots right there. Then here we can go and specify what it looks like. So we can do that, and then we can also set the specular based off that. Right, the threads actually have some oomph to them. Maybe that's what's up. They just needed to actually have some depth to them. Maybe they need a noise texture as well to make them look a bit better. Oh wait, it actually... Oh. I was like, wait, it actually completed before the timeline ran out, but... Yeah, it's, it needs quite a bit. Quite a bit. And boom. Oh, and there... Oh, no, it did not finish. because it has a whole nother level to go before then. Although we don't need that middle one because you understand that's the Blender logo even without it. Oh, and that's a problem. Let's go to the geometry node editor, to the sew thread, and fully want to do this, but yeah, you just need to make it so that's the midpoint. No, that causes the thread to overlap itself, which it happens. It happens. Okay. Have you considered having the parallel stitches come on one at a time, so it goes 4 across and then 1 forward? Yes, but it would just take too long. Like, that's the thing that I'm trying to fight. And as as we can see here, the sewing machine does not know when its job is complete. Classic. It's like, Alright, metallic. I think that's the best that we've gotten that to look so far. Oh, color management, AGX could be a reason. That AGX, it desaturates things, which is, again, a feature, not a bug. It's hard to make it look right. Might just be a skill issue. Let's go and move you over to here. Let's go and spin you right around. That you're no longer in, like, the fully negatives. Just make it so that you frame the entire thing quite nicely. Maybe do a bit of that so that we can fit more of it in frame. And it looks like we're going back to where we were originally. There, it's just like, there we go. Yeah. Let's go and do this, rotate down. Probably the lighting that's the issue, but I mean, the result is, it's okay. It's good, but again, not great. I'll try a couple lighting solutions and then I will call it a night. Call it a night. So here, we have a huge area light, but a very, very, very small shadow. I don't understand. Starts to get less, but at some points, it stops becoming more dithered. And becomes undithered. I'm assuming that's just a bug with Eevee Next. Or a limitation. Equal chance. There we go. Maybe I just light it like this? Oh, actually... I actually don't dislike that. Why? I actually like that quite a bit. Huh. Now 2 does diminish it a bit. I actually don't hate that. Maybe less is more. Yeah, maybe... might need a few lights just to make it look a little bit like a... just to, like, add rim lights to that and that, but I'm actually liking that. The lower angle... maybe I should flatten out the fabric again. But no, I think this is okay. Yeah. And then depth of field, oh goodness. We'll just put that right there, and we can tone down the stuff by a bit. Again, the focus should be following the empty. But here, it's just like that. Although, social media will probably butcher the depth of field and make it so that you can't see anything. So I'll keep it low. So yeah, it will work, but I'm still half and half on the design. And it's good, but not fully there. Actually, I should have you be at like 45 degrees, so that's never fully parallel. Holder, 45, negative. There we go. Just so that it's never fully parallel with everything so that we can see what's going on. That seems to be pretty good, don't you think? And as always, we can speed this up. So if we're worried about it taking too much time, again, we just do that, and then all of the work just looks like it never happened. Just something going along a curve and doing that. Well, if we want to slow it down, we can see dun 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 dun. And we can't animate it. We can animate it. So I can just speed ramp it in here. Let's go over to the holder though, because we need to make it a little bit longer since more of it's visible. And then let's go and bring it up a bit more. There we go. So again, let me go over the logic of this setup briefly. We have a main design curve, in this case, the Blender logo curve, and we just have a point that goes along the curve and records the position and then the normal and the tangent as a rotation. So just follow that point, just has all that data. And then we instance the needle and the holder there. It goes up and down, but the holder is limited so it can't go below a certain depth. And then the complicated part is making it so that the curve has, you know, the bumps over here so that the tip of it is actually goes through the needle as it should, even though I think it's a little bit too high. Because actually, wait, that, oh no, that part does go down. Yeah, no, that part's fine. But yeah. It could, and again, we're cheating, making it look like one needle is doing 4 things at once because, again, time. Well, in reality, it would be better if it just, you know, didn't do that. But yeah. I guess we can do a little bit of compositing. So let's do some lens distortion. Oh wait, oh, they got rid of use backdrop, apparently. Oh, because of the viewer! Oh! Wait, but I cannot disable the viewer. Oh well. Maybe that's in here now? No, that's previews, context path. I assume they're just changing some stuff here and there. But yes. Blender 4.5. These inputs are now actual inputs, so you can use them with node groups for future stuff. Now, do we do the classic thing where we turn up the lens distortion by way too much? Oh, wait a minute. Why is it so bright? Oh, because I have not rendered since then. Now let's set this to be, you know, just to add a little bit of distortion because again, it's looking very, very closely at the object. So it's there, let's go over to here. Now, my room is fairly dark at the moment, well, not super dark, but this may be a bit dark overall. Actually, compared to the Blender UI, it's not that dark, so it should be fine. The depth of field... Actually, let's turn off the depth of field. No, we need the depth of field. Let's set that to be like 20, so it's still there, but just a little bit less. Do that. And what else do we do? With the fabric, you know, just add in a little, just a molecule of design. Let's do this and then move you down. just so that, you know, we can see a little seam right there. Just to add in, again, a molecule of intrigue, even though the normals are making it so that looks a little too effective. And since we have the fabric, again, since it's being referenced, it's just a tad annoying. And let's set this so that instead of the normal, it's the Z. Just so that that's a little bit better. Here, we'll go and do that. Yeah, that's a bit better. Now it looks like a thick fabric. Actually, that looks like one of my jeans now. Who knew that one seam would make it look kind of real? Huh. Anyway. So there is more that I could possibly do because, like, we see here the shadows aren't that great. Actually, let's go and see what this looks like in cycles. Making it flat, well, that doesn't help that. The warbling, yeah, makes it actually look like jeans. How does this look in cycles? GPU compute. Wait, what? Wait a minute. Huh? Huh? Excuse-moi. Why? Oh, I know why. Because color is like a reserved attribute in cycles. So if I made this caps, or make this curve color, it would fix it. I forgot about that. Oh. Sewing machine. I did all that without even labeling the geometry node. Classic. Let's set that to be curve color, and we can see that works now. This will be color. There we go. Or this will be curve color. We'll add in a space for good measure there. So yeah. Okay, with that out of the way. Uh-oh. I just closed out my browser. Hopefully it's all still running. Uh-oh. Is the stream still going? Yes, apparently it is. Very nice. Good, 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 good. Okay. Oh, this is cycles. I was like, okay, let's see what it looks like, but we're already there. So we can see that the shadows are more accurate, but I do love the speed. It's actually fairly comparable. Shadows, again, we can turn the shadow. Oh, wait. Shadows are doing very, very little. What else do we need to do? Do we go to the fabric and then say, I don't know, turn down the roughness, see what that looks like. Yeah, no. Specular on all that is quite low apparently, so we don't need to worry about that. Again, here, the metallic sheen I did quite enjoy. So maybe we just need to tone down the bump again. Oh, but wait, the metallic sheen, it's gone. What happened to the nice golden hues? Or maybe that's just because Filmic is making it hypersaturated. Value, maybe just a little hue shift. We'll worry about that another time. Yeah. That feels slow now. So let's speed it up, because we can. Let's do 8. Just fast enough that it, you know, gets moving. Still slow enough so that we can see everything. Although the lighting, I'm still... Okay, the lighting, that light is good. We will keep that. But this light feels like it needs a rim light. Always use rim lights where you can. Maybe it just needs to be a spotlight rim light. So that it doesn't illuminate the fabric, but does illuminate this part. Just go and crank that up. Long shadows do look quite interesting. Could change the lighting as well. But yeah, I think... I actually like that. It's almost like a sunlight. No, that just is the sun. Okay, nope, too bright. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Okay, still not great, but I think that's everything for today. So, thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. Maybe you could put your own spin on this project to make it look better, but for now, it's good. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time. Have a good one.